Coming up on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports, we're going to be diving into a Vikings Chargers Week 3 preview with both teams sitting at 0-2. I expect two desperate football teams that are going to dig it out and fight it out for a W this Sunday. So I'll be diving into some keys to victory from the Vikings perspective on the later half of today's video. We're going to start it off with the latest injury reports from both teams. Both teams have some key guys that were out yesterday during Wednesday practices, so I'm going to be diving into both teams' latest injury reports and more. But my name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome into Vikings Now by Chat Sports. We got to do this, everybody. Help us beat the Chargers this Sunday. Hit that subscribe button. Don't jinx this team. You don't want to be sitting there watching the Vikings this Sunday, and they could be down maybe a score or two, and you're like, damn, I should have subscribed to that Vikings channel on YouTube. So don't jinx us. Help us out here. Sub for Minnesota Vikings dubs and hit that sub button. Let's dive into it. Enough of that. The Vikings and Chargers injury reports from this past week. This is why we're going to start off today's show, because the Vikings have some key guys out, as well as the Los Angeles Chargers. Starting with the Chargers, a familiar name at the top of the list, Eric Kendricks, former Vikings linebacker, one of my favorite Vikings of all time, but he has been dealing with a hamstring injury. A couple of weapons out for the Chargers. Austin Eckler, he did not play last week. He did not practice Wednesday, and he's still dealing with that ankle. Khalil Mack took a rest day on Wednesday. Fully expect him to go. Joey Bosa dealing with a hamstring. Expect him to go as well. Henley, also another hamstring. And then also Mike Williams, the receiver, dealing with an ankle. He should be ready to go. But kick it to the Vikings side of things. This is where I'm a little bit concerned. Garrett Bradbury still did not practice again. He was out last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's dealing with that back injury. Marcus Davenport played against the Eagles but did not practice on Wednesday with that ankle he's been dealing with. Same with Christian Darrisaw. Darrisaw was a limited participant. Jordan Hicks, he got banged up in the Eagles game, which I actually thought he played his ass off. One of the best games I've seen out of Jordan Hicks in his NFL career. But he's dealing with the shin. Josh Metellus hurt the shoulder against the Eagles, so he'll probably be ready to go. And then also Jalen Naylor dealing with that hamstring. But I do want to focus in here on the offensive line, because with two big injuries to Garrett Bradbury and Christian Darrisaw, listen, if they can't go, this Chargers front could seriously take advantage of this Vikings starting five here for the line. But this would be my sort of dream offensive line, depth chart heading into the Chargers game. I would love to have Dalton Risner out there and be the starting right guard instead of Ed Ingram. But Kevin O'Connell spoke today. Apparently, he should be a kind of rotational piece this Sunday. Maybe that's just coach's talk to throw off the Chargers. But this would be my dream 5 offensive linemen this Sunday. Really hope Bradbury and Darrisaw can get going because, listen, the Chargers know how to get to the quarterback, and we're going to definitely need both those guys out there. But I'll make this pinned comment on today's video. Listen, the Vikings are a little banged up here. How concerned are you about the injuries? Scale it for me, 1 through 10, down in the comment section. YouTube, they're going to throw an ad break your way. Sit back, let it play, take advantage of it, and let me know your concern level about the Vikings' latest injuries. Scale it 1 through 10. Now let's dive into it, everybody. Keys to victory for the Vikings versus the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a must-win game. I mean, you're 0-2. Not many teams make the playoffs when you start 0-3. And I think the number one key to victory for me, let 18 dominate again. Justin Jefferson is on pace to have 2,600 yards this season. He has been absolutely dominating throughout the first 2 weeks, and don't overthink this. I understand you have a ton of weapons in Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and it may be easy for the Vikings coaching staff to sit there and say, we're going to use Jefferson as a decoy, and we're going to go to other guys. I disagree. Let 18 eat. Let Justin Jefferson continue what he's been doing this season because these stats are absolutely ridiculous. Through 2 games, 10 catches a game, 309 yards, 15.4 yards per catch, and he's averaging 154.5 yards per game. Jefferson's been the best non-quarterback in the league this year. I will die on that hill. If I had to pick any player, any position player besides quarterback, I would pick 18. He has such a great impact on the game. Listen, producer Coop shaking his head. He's a Cowboys fan. He probably thinks Micah Parsons, but I would probably have to go 18 on that. He just dominates the game every time he gets out there. So don't overthink this. Get 18 the ball early and often, and good things will happen. Number 2 for me, you got to establish some sort of run game. The Vikings have been terrible at running the football this season, and I think with the Cam Akers trade and also the Dalton Risner signing, I think the Vikings are going to put more of a point of emphasis this week on establishing some sort of ground game because, listen, the Vikings have been so one-dimensional on offense. This has been a great offense so far throughout the first 2 weeks. I think they've held their own. They obviously got to clean up the turnovers, but besides the turnovers, this has been a very explosive team and a very productive offense. And some chat stats for you guys. The Vikings have called 92 pass plays and only 26 run plays. That just can't happen. It's got to be close to more of a 60-40, and well, this is just more of an 80-20, 85-15 for the Vikes. And right now, the Vikings are the worst rushing team in the NFL, only averaging 34.5 rush yards per game. That finds them dead last in the entire league. You got to establish some sort of ground game because, hey, you let the Chargers, pass rush continue to get home on Kirk Cousins, bad things could happen. Number 3 for me, you got to create some sort of turnover. The Chargers have yet to turn the ball over this season, and the Vikings have yet to force a turnover this season. I think you got to create havoc, and with this Brian Flores defense, I'm honestly shocked that we haven't been able to create more turnovers than we have in the past. Or no, we did have one last week against Jalen Hurts and the boys when Theo Jackson picked him off. But hey, the Chargers are +2 in turnover differential. If you think the Vikings are kind of a really good 0-2 team, the Chargers are the same way. Their fan base is thinking that as well. Because listen, they have been in every game late. They've had some bad breaks go against them. And this is a good football team. And they take care of the football, and they also take it away from the opposing teams. Vikings, you're going to have to win this turnover battle. Also, you're going to have to take care of that football. The Vikings, we know their biggest problem this year has been fumbling. Let's clean that up, and I think the Vikings have a chance to get a victory this Sunday. Number 4 for me, and this is just because of the dudes on the other side of the football. Protect Kirk Cousins. We know Kirk, when the pocket's clean, he can sit in there, get to his back foot, and make a play. Kirk's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But when you ask Kirk to get off platform and go out of kind of the structure of the play, that's where he's not at his best. And listen, the Chargers got some dogs over there. Understand this defense has not lived up to their expectations, but they still have a great pass rush. Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, one of the best tandems you will find in the NFL. But luckily for the Vikings, they have one of the best tackle combos in the league as well, and Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill. So that's going to be huge if Christian Darrisaw can go. We'll get you guys an update on that later on in the week. But listen, they got some dogs over there in L.A., and the Vikings are going to need to protect their quarterback if they want a chance to win. I got one more key to victory coming up here in a second, but I do got to give a huge shout-out to BetUS. If you guys head to chatsports.com/bet and use this promo code right here, chat125, they're going to get you a 125% deposit bonus. What does that mean? Put $100 into your account. They're going to give you $125 free to play with. Right now, the Vikings are a 1-point favorite over the Chargers. I'm definitely taking that. And the over-under for the game is sitting at 54.5. It's going to be a shootout this Sunday, so make sure you guys do put some money on the game and do it with our sportsbook sponsor, BetUS. Again, one more time, chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125. Can't say this enough. This is a playoff game. This is a must-win game for both teams. You're not going to go anywhere in this league when you're starting 0-3. Obviously, there has been outlier seasons with teams that do start 0-3 have made the playoffs, but it's incredibly unlikely. It's already unlikely that you make the playoffs starting 0-2. This is a playoff game. Both teams are desperate. Both teams really need a victory, and I can't wait for this Sunday. But listen, if the Vikings do drop this game, I'll say this. This season could get ugly. Rob Gronkowski suggested earlier today that the Vikings could trade Kirk Cousins if they do end up losing this Sunday. We're going to be talking about that on the channel later on this week. But listen, this could be an ugly season if the Vikings drop this game because you're sitting there and you're like, man, we're a good football team. Where do we go from here? You're 0-3. I think a lot of decisions are going to be made after this week. Just go get a win, man. And listen, the Vikings are a good football team. I really do believe it. I think you got good weapons on the outside. You got a decent offensive line. I think Brian Flores has turned this defense around enough to have it be a serviceable defense in the league. And listen, I think the Vikings right now, and this might raise an eyebrow to some of you guys, I think they're a better football team than they are right now than they were the entire season last year. I think they are just a more productive offense. I think they're a more crisp offense. They just need to clean up the turnovers, and I think this is an easy top 5 unit in the league. And the Vikings had the worst defense in the league last year. Brian Flores, I think, brings it up to at least a top 20 D. So I think the Vikings are going to win this weekend, but let me know. Who do you guys got? I'll be typing my V's in the comments section for our Minnesota Vikings, but if you got the Chargers, let me know as well. Type those C's down there. As always, give me a follow on Twitter. @PatSieps is the handle right there. You know what? I'm calling it right now. I'll go score prediction. I got Vikings 34-28 in a shootout. Kirk Cousins is going to get the ball back. It's going to be 28-27. He's going to go down there, game-winning drive to bring him up 34-28. That's what I got for the score prediction. 34-28 Vikings. Make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. Also, give me a follow on Twitter, @PatSieps, tweeting about the Vikings all year long. So make sure you guys tune in for the game this Sunday. We'll be live an hour before kickoff. As always, Skol Vikes, baby.